Thanks, Jeannie. Those are the words of Jesus, and when you read them, you think, yeah, those are pretty good words, but then when you think about the fact that those are actual commands and we have to do them, you go, right? So, usually, we choose a book of the Bible and we go verse by verse through it, but between books of the Bible, we take an opportunity to discover a little more about the Christian faith and specific topics of the Christian life. And that's what our current series of messages is. It's called The Spiritually Vibrant Home, and it's based on a book of the same name. That is a research book that sets out to answer the question in that what makes a home actually spiritually vibrant, and for those homes that we identify that are spiritually vibrant, what sets them apart from the rest of Christian homes. And so we're going to define our terms like we always do, in that spiritually vibrant homes, one, nurture their faith and grow in it. Two, they honor God by the way that they live out their lives. And three, they pass on the faith to the next generation, which is an increasing hurdle these days for Christian people. But there are homes who do all of these. And so how do they do it? What makes the difference? And the patterns that they have found in these households is that they engage in messy prayers, devotional lives, reading of the Scripture, praying together. And not that they have this perfect routine and they always do it same time all the time. It's that they do it and they try their best and they cram it in to the messiness and the busyness of their lives. The second is that they have loud tables, which means that they have frequent discussions, open, vulnerable, spontaneous discussions, sometimes and most of the time about regular things in life, but also incorporating these spiritual conversations that flow from them in an environment that is safe, right? And then third is what we're going to talk about today is open doors. It's practicing a radical hospitality towards those you know and like and those that you don't know or don't like. And while each of these is important and great to practice, what they have found time and time again, it's that it is households that don't just practice one or two of these, but all three of these together, that were truly spiritually vibrant and accomplish these three goals of nurturing faith, honoring God, and passing on the faith to the next generation. Right? So, we're going to see, again, for a third time today, how we can start and strengthen these habits in our households, no matter what they look like. From singles with a group of friends, to our traditional nuclear families, to retirees and assisted living, to multi-family, multi-generational homes. Your household is a household no matter what it looks like, the people who are close to you in life. And we're going to explore what it means to have these open doors and how hospitality is probably the biggest catalyst for making Jesus known. So, first of all, what is hospitality? That can mean a lot of things to a lot of people. Is it just having people over in your house? No, not all of us have a house to have people over to, right? It can be, but hospitality is including others in our household activities. So that can be in the home, that can be out of the home. We think of hospitality as entertaining other people in the place that we live, but it's sharing our lives with others by letting them be a part of it. So sometimes that is having people over for dinner. Other times it's letting your kids bring a friend on your family vacation. Other times it's letting somebody move in with you when they need you. But in short, whenever you let someone from outside your household in, that is hospitality, and it can be as simple as that. And hospitality is great. But kind of like with the communication and conversations that we talked about the last week, we've lost our touch with hospitality as a culture, as a whole. So hospitality used to be the norm, always used to be the norm, and we can trace that all the way back to God's ancient people. They were incredibly, shockingly hospitable. If you've ever read a good chunk of the Old Testament, you'll come up on multiple stories where somebody is traveling far from home. We call that sojourning. Maybe in a different land or through some sort of a barren area. Maybe they're fleeing from danger or moving to another country as a whole. And at some point, they bump into a local along their journey. And the local insists, hey, you have to come back to my house. And they go back and they yell to their wives, honey, bake 10 loaves of bread, bring out 3 skins of wine, and slaughter a goat and prepare it because we have a special occasion. And she'll say, what's the occasion? And he'll say, I bumped into some guy. And they have a feast and they stay over and it's a wonderful time. And every time we read a story like that, we go, that's nuts. Right? These are their provisions. This is their household. These are strangers. They could be marauders. Who knows who they are? But they practice this hospitality. I mean, to be that open, that generous, that much, it's very foreign to us. But God wants his people to be hospitable. Look at what he says in Deuteronomy, one of the earliest books of the Bible and the story of God's people. For the Lord your God is God of gods and Lord of lords, the great, the mighty, and the awesome God who is not partial and takes no bribe. He executes justice for the fatherless and the widow. He loves the sojourner, giving him food and clothing. So love the sojourner, therefore, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. God's people knew, because he told them, that extending hospitality to the sojourner was extending the love of God to them in a very tangible, very direct way. And that's wonderful. But ever since those times, right, hospitality, it's just a foundational piece of any community and any society. But recently, something has changed. We all know that especially in the last few decades, the world has become different. Society, our culture, we have become different. Man, you look at like home ec videos from the 50s or like commercials or something. It's like, you know what? Are you having another family over for the 6th time this week and you're tired from cooking? Take that leftover ham, cube it up, and set it in a gelatin tin. They're going to love that. Just put everything in gelatin, mayonnaise in gelatin, whipped cream in gelatin as a dessert. It's an ambrosia, right? All that. Even back then, they used to host a ton, but now, not so much. Raise your hand if you've ever set dinner food in clear gelatin. Thank God. Okay, awesome. Good. Sometimes, times change for the better. But, last week again, we explored how the quality of our conversations has really changed and declined over the years. The same has happened to our hospitality. Now, this is not every single one of us, but the general rule, okay? And perhaps it is the stressors of life and the busyness. Maybe it's the fact that both spouses in a household are now working and they're tired. Maybe it's because our world is not very great these days and the idea of being hospitable to it is just scary to us. So our households have slowly morphed into a safe haven, a place to take refuge, a place to retreat to. And we have this term, when we exclude everyone else besides our inner circles, we call that quality time. We turn our houses or our apartments into these little oases, these islands, where we can feel safe and protected and untouched and get a break from the rest of the world. The rise of the suburbs gave each of us our own little slice of land, our little rectangle, our own kingdoms. And we have been conditioned to separate our lives in the same way. And now hospitality for many of us is a chore. It's something that we have to gear up for. It is an obligation when family events happen. It's just not the same as it was. So what does our research show? There are benefits to hospitality for you and for the people around you. Number one, hospitality is connected to God's mission. And the comparison that this book draws, which I actually really like, is comparing your household to either a submarine or a rescue boat. You're on the sea, there are waves, there are winds, it is storming, it is dangerous out there. The most tempting thing to do is to get yourself a nice submarine, go down a couple hundred leagues. I'm not really a submarine guy, but meters, whatever we use, right? And then the waves don't bother us, and the wind doesn't break against us, and there's nowhere to fall over. We're in this isolated little capsule. Or We can treat our households as a rescue boat. We choose to go to the surface. We choose to risk. We choose to bear the elements for the sake that we know that other people are out there and they might find safety with us. I want to read this verse one more time here. Love the sojourner, therefore, for you were sojourners in Egypt. When we speak of a sojourner, it implies that it is somebody who is journeying from a different country and a different place. God's ancient people of Israel were always convinced that Israel, the people in their land of Israel, were God's people in God's place, and this was kind of their kingdom subdivision slice of how they lived that out. But what it meant is that if you cross the borders into different nations, you will find people with a different culture and language, and most importantly, a people who worship a different and false God. So being hospitable to the sojourner doesn't just mean somebody who happens to be traveling who is like you. It is a foreigner, somebody who is different on many, many cultural, religious levels. And to these people, back then and now, hospitality is one of the greatest ways that we can show God's love to them. In the reading that we just heard, Jesus in Luke 6 was also very, very clear. It is easy to love the people who love you. It is easy to give to the people who give to you. It is easy to be hospitable to the people who are hospitable to you. Totally easy. The whole world can do that. No problem. But we are not just called to love those who are like us and look like us and agree with us. That's not how the love of God works. That's a transactional, conditional love. We are called to love anybody, even as far as those who hate us, those who would take from us, those who violently disagree with us or go against us. He calls us to love them. They're the ones that need God's love the most. And who will it be shown through if not us? So yes, we could retreat in our little submarines and we can stay safe and far under the waves and the wind, or we can get out there and we can risk everything for the sake of others and their salvation, and Jesus commands the latter. And again, hospitality is the greatest way to do that. Nothing says, I love you and you belong more than letting somebody into your household. In fact, one of the kind of guidelines that we have in our household is that we don't invite people to church that we haven't invited into our home and haven't been to our home. Now, that might be a pretty easy loophole to say, well, I can't invite anybody to church, Pastor. Nobody's been to my house. No, it's supposed to be an encouragement to get people into your house, right? And so I always say, man, I would love to invite that person, but I don't know them that well yet, and they don't know me, and they don't know how much I love them. So I'll bring them in, and they will know, and we will get to know them, and from there it just comes really organically, and it's much more effective, by the way. They know that we care about them, right? And so when it comes to who to invite to hospitality and who to share that with, there's a pastor named John Piper who coined this term for himself called strategic hospitality, where you can invite people as you feel like it and as you like them, and you can have your little time in your house and your activities, but be strategic about it on the other side. Who needs your hospitality the most? Who in your life can you pick up on? And so that means it's not just having your best friends, the Johnsons, over only every week for 40 years and then no one else. Maybe you'll see somebody who needs support. Maybe you will see somebody who's overwhelmed in their household. Maybe you see somebody who has no idea who Jesus is or the completely wrong picture, and that's the person that needs your hospitality the most. And in fact, we also do this. But I don't know if you've ever done this. It's very natural to say, man, that couple that we just met in the park or at that thing, I really like those guys. We should have them over soon. Have you ever walked away from an interaction and go, man, I did not like those guys at all? we should have them over soon. Because that's what you should do, honestly. And that's what we do, because not all of your hospitality is for your purpose and your happiness. It's for others as well. And I want you to remember, your home might be the only exposure to God's love and God's truth and the salvation of Jesus that they ever get. All right? So, hospitality is connected to mission. Finding number 2. Hospitality strengthens faith formation for everybody in the household, okay? Generally, faith formation is connected to increases with a spirit of hospitality. Now, let me ask you this, and these are challenging questions, as all of our questions have been so far. But have you ever been worried that if you invite a certain person into your house, it might be a danger in some way to your household or how you raise it up in the Christian faith or the values that you hold? Because there are a lot of people who disagree with us on things. In fact, most people probably. But have you ever worried that inviting a Muslim family into your household, or a gay couple, or somebody who is politically on the very opposite, violently opposite end of you, into your house, that they will start messing with the dynamic, that they will start speaking something that is harmful into your household, that they will confuse your kids, ruin the good thing you've got going on, or even cause you to question the things that you know and trust? You're not alone. That is incredibly common. Plenty of people worry about that and choose to shelter their homes from those who are different, so that their faith or the faith of their children are not challenged and they are not weakened. But here's what the research found, that ironically, sheltering our households weakens faith. Many people think that exposure to different things, religions and cultures and lifestyles and opinions, is the same thing as endorsing those things. But we can live with and love those who are different without agreeing and without endorsing and without enabling. And the research shows that as we are around them, yes, our faith can be challenged or questioned, but as a result, that questioning and that wonder, it causes us to actually look at those questions, find the answers, and our faith is strengthened through them. We begin to ask very vital things that we wouldn't have otherwise. And rather than being intimidated by the other, as an end result, we grow more confident in who we are and what we believe and why we believe it, since we now understand what we do in context to everything else around us. Maybe you're familiar with this as well, but I have heard and I have seen story after story of kids who are in a nice Christian home, church every Sunday, and the Bible classes and all of that. And something happens when they turn 18. They get into the world or they get into college, and all of a sudden they leave that environment that is protected. And they are exposed to every religion and every thought and every philosophy and every lifestyle and every practice all at once. And they, for lack of a better term, they melt down. There are so many things that they've never even thought to ask, so many alternate ways that they've never even thought to look, that all of a sudden everything is kind of, I don't know, what is anything anymore? And so many kids leave the faith after high school as they become adults. But if they have a lifetime to learn it, to be exposed to it in an environment in which you are still present, mentoring and guiding and leading, they will be ready when they set off on their own. So, my guidance to you is, yes, expose them while they are still in your home and you have that influence on them, and they and you will grow in your faith in the process. And by the way, as a byproduct, you will have loved people who are different than you for the entirety of the run of your household. And we'll get to this in a little bit, but God will transform the people around you through you. It is amazing. All right? And again, exposure is not the same as endorsement. Number 3, spiritually vibrant homes rely on others, or hospitable homes rely on others. And so we find that the more spiritually vibrant a home is, oddly enough, the less self-sufficient that home is. They are much more willing to accept people's help, whether that is through chores or watching their kids or financial assistance or something else that somebody can do that they can't. It's odd, right? The least self-sufficient households are the most spiritually vibrant. And one of the reasons that is because relying on others reminds us of how much we rely on God all the time. And in the same way, as we rely on others, we also grasp the importance that other people may rely on us, and we have an opportunity to step in. And so we have this culture and this network where people are relying on us, and we are relying on yet others, and all of us together are always reminded of how we rely on God. So it moves us to be hospitable and accept hospitality in that way, and it makes us spiritually vibrant. Finding number 4, some people struggle with hospitality. Now, I know as I'm saying all of this, it probably sounds like, well, guess what? 99% of Christians do this, and you don't. Boo! No, that's not it at all. This is the pattern that they have found, but it doesn't mean the majority of households are like this. That's why they make a book like this in the first place. These are struggles and challenges, but when we practice them, they work. So what are some of those hurdles that prevent us? And again, stress and busyness and 2-income households with 2 jobs and influences in the culture and all of that. Yes, sure. But there's just something else happening where we're in this like loneliness epidemic. And I know we've heard the word before, but get this. 31% of people say they have no one, 0 people outside of their direct family members that they can talk to or spend time with. That's a third of all of our households. And it's not like it's, 30% have 0 and the other 70% have 30, right? I mean, we're really gravitating towards that low end of the spectrum. And so our households are small. Our hospitality is little. And again, it's just a byproduct of the cultures. But what we do find is that couple households struggle the most. Couples of 2 people that do not have children residing in the home and that have nobody else living in their home at the time. Maybe that's empty nesters. Maybe that is couples who don't have kids yet or don't have kids. Whoever it is, couples really struggle with it. They're just not really exposed through, going to the school events or having the activities. You just don't bump into a lot of people, and it's very easy to just go to your job, come back, do any activities you want as just the 2 of you, and then that's it. So couple households struggle. Another group that struggles are people who don't think that they have a nice enough or big enough home to be hospitable. And man, that used to be me. I was in my college dorm, and then I was in my seminary dorm, and then I was in my seminary apartment, and then I was in my first apartment in Michigan. And how are you going to host people or do anything meaningful, anything like that? And then I met Hannah. Hey. The first year we dated, I flew down to St. Louis to surprise her for her birthday. And for her birthday, she had this hospitality mindset that I figured practiced all the time, where we all went out together to this Mexican restaurant, and somebody, I don't know if you remember, burnt those fajitas, and they carried them out, and the whole place filled up with smoke. This is just for us. It's not for you. I'm so sorry. But it's a good memory. And so like after like 45 minutes, we finished eating quickly. Like, let's get out of the fajita smoke. But Hannah said, why don't you all come over to my place? This young woman lived in, what was it, Hannah? 400 square feet studio apartment. It was just one room with thank goodness the bathroom was a separate thing. But and she had, 25 people crammed in every single nook and cranny, and we were there for hours hanging out, and I thought, man, this is the best time. And she didn't have a charcuterie board, and she didn't have all of these things in space and a fire pit to, entertain, all that kind of stuff. It was just this young woman with nothing and no space who was hospitable. And she's really breathed that into both of our lives, and we've really benefited from that. And so we started hosting in our apartment when we got married, as small as it was, and we love to host now. So anyway, couples or people who think they don't have enough struggle. But remember, your household isn't just your physical building. right? And hospitality isn't limited to that either. So invite people out to a common place. Go out. It's about the people you are around and letting them in on the activities that you do. But also, if you have a tiny little, she shed in the back or something, invite people over to it. If you have a van, roll out that little awning over it, put up a couple of lawn chairs, and there you go, right? Don't let it stop you. But one thing, and Hannah, you're the next example. For some reason, millennials are really good at hospitality. I don't know what it is, and they haven't really delved into why, but like the younger generations that are coming up, they see the hospitality that used to be and how neighbors used to interact, and we kind of go, yeah, why not? So we're starting to kind of get back to it. So you will never, ever hear this again in your whole life. But hey, millennials, good job. We're all proud of you, okay? And that includes me, so a little pat on the shoulder here, all right? So those are our findings, all right? So as we wrap everything up, I want to remind you of something. Households belong to God. They are God's asset, so to say. No matter how times have changed, it's important for us to remember that our households do not belong to us. They're not our houses, and they're not our people in them. And if we look at our trusty old Luther's catechism that he wrote for families to know the faith and its basic teaching, when it comes to the Lord's Prayer in the section, "Give us this day our daily bread," he asks, what is our daily bread? And here's what it says. Daily bread includes everything that has to do with the support and needs of the body, such as, including house, home, land, animals, a devout husband or wife, devout children. He puts friends in there and community. This is your household. This is your daily bread, something that belongs to God, that is given to you, but always remember that it is His. It's not yours. Yes, your name is on the mortgage or on the lease, and yes, you might be the head of the household, but never fool yourself to thinking, this is all mine, and this is for my purpose and my enjoyment and my comfort. So your house, your apartment, your van, your family, your friends, they are a daily gift from God, and understanding that shifts our view of how we should treat them, not as a place where we can do whatever we want and fulfill our will, but that it belongs to God and it is an asset for the purpose of His kingdom and of His mission. So, how do we start? Number one, how do you open a door? You crack it open first, right? I probably should have started with the handle, but go easy on the book, okay? You crack open the door, right? You just don't have to go 0 to 100 overnight. Have family, neighbors, friends over on a regular basis. It's okay if you start with those that you love and that you like and just ease into the habit, right? It's probably the best way to go about it. And then number two, open a little wider. Host regular, special occasions. Some of you do that, right? Thanksgiving. Hannah and I, we do that. We know a bunch of young people who live in this area, but they're from the Midwest. They have no family. It's too expensive to go back. They don't have a lot of time off. So every person that we know in the area who's not from the area, we host a Friendsgiving for them, and it's been really, really nice. But you can do a Super Bowl party. You can do Easter. You can do Christmas. Any occasion on a regular basis where you can open up your home and people know that they can be part of your household as well, right? Number two, check out what I'm going to sneak in here. Oh my gosh, is it community groups that we're starting? Yes, it is. Host a community group. Join a community group. It's a great place to be together as a household, to expand your household. And it's also a wonderful place for people in the community to get to know you and your household and your friends and your neighbors, and it's a very non-intimidating way for them to be introduced to the church. Check your bulletins for the code and scan it, go on our website, but fill out the form and join a community group or offer to host it as well. And then number three, blow the doors off, right? It's a little dramatic, I know, but what would it look like if you practiced a radical hospitality, right? We can look at the Old Testament and say, hey, I just bumped into some guy, whip everything out, and we say, that's crazy. But what would it look like for your household to do something crazy like that? Can you foster children in your home who need you? Can you let your aging parents or insist that they move in with you as you care for them graciously for the last years of their life? Are your neighbors struggling and working late, 2 jobs all the time? Let their kids come over to your house every weeknight to do their homework. Help them with it. Give them dinner all the time. Adopt a college kid or a Marine into your home. Let them eat anything but what's in the chow hall. Let them do laundry, all that stuff. And invite them to everything that you do. If you're going to a Padres game, they're going to the Padres game. All of those things. And as you grow in this way, what you're going to find, and what many people have found, is that strangers will become part of your household, and they will become family, and then they will become children of God as you all grow together in this spiritually vibrant way. And this all happens through something so ordinary and so powerful as your household. You ready for some homework? Read chapter 6. Go over the discussion questions with your family. Take this to heart and make a game plan of how you are going to slowly get that door open until the hinges blow off. And as we conclude this series, I just want to remind you, whatever your household looks like, your beautiful, individual, unique household, it is a gift from God given to you for the sake of His mission. And so for the sake of our families and those in our community, let's start leading households that are spiritually vibrant as we welcome messy prayers, loud tables, and open doors. And this is God's word for today. Amen.